Bob, you say that when a believer sins, they can experience God's wrath and judgment in this life. What kind of punishments can sinners expect to experience in this life?
Well, we can see lots of examples of this in both the Old and the New Testament. People in the Old Testament and the New Testament got sick as a result of God's judgments. They died as a result of God's judgments. Both of those are seen in 1 Corinthians 11:30 because the Corinthians were abusing the Lord's Supper. Some of you are sick and some sleep, which is a reference to the death of believers. There can be all kinds of problems. Financial losses. In Luke 15, the parable of the prodigal son, he loses everything in the far country. So there's financial losses. There's hunger. No one's giving him anything. He longs for the pods of the pigs he's feeding, which, by the way, is a bad job for a Jewish boy. It could be any sorts of things: marriage problems, parenting problems, problems with the children. It could be problems with the government. There's just untold numbers of calamities in this life that comes to the believer who is not walking with Christ.
On the flip side, I assume there's a salvation for each of those things?
Right, there's a deliverance or a salvation from all those things. And in a sense, by the way, and I probably should have brought this out when you asked the question, the sin itself is a punishment. We're told that in Romans chapter 1. God gave them over to this depraved mind and depraved behavior. And the depraved behavior itself is a punishment. So that if a person, let's say, becomes an alcoholic, the alcoholism itself is a punishment. If a person becomes a cocaine addict, the cocaine addiction in itself is a punishment. If a person is involved in an affair and then they're having this, that itself becomes a punishment, because they're not only reaping the consequences that come out of that, but that in itself is an empty lifestyle. It's a painful lifestyle. Even though Hollywood may present, drug abuse and alcoholism and immorality as good things, they're very bad things.